Hey everyone, and welcome to this edition of AACRAO's Credential Chats. Really excited to be joined this week by Deb Everhart, Chief Strategy Officer at Credential Engine. Deb, thank you so much for taking a moment away from credentialengine.org to join us here.
Hey Noah, good to see you.
It is great to see you. I've just been a longtime fan of the work you all are doing at Credential Engine for what I view as really important, vital plumbing to making the whole ecosystem of what those of us who are dreaming about this stuff, what it can look like one day. Really, a lot of it relies on people gaining awareness of and implementing in really cool ways some of the stuff y'all are doing. And so maybe a good starting place could be just to share in your words, what is it that y'all are doing at Credential Engine?
So, Credential Engine is a nonprofit, and our mission, simply put, is credential and skill transparency. So, what does that mean? Well, our research shows that there's over 1 million credentials offered in the US. That's everything from degrees and certifications to certificates, micro-credentials, licenses, apprenticeships. And, no one can make sense of that many credentials. So, how do we understand what skills are inside those credentials? And how do we let people do that for themselves? That's what credential and skill transparency is about for us. Well, that still sounds fairly abstract, but what we do is we provide technologies for doing that. So the two technologies, which are openly available, community developed, are the credential transparency description language, which is a schema that provides a common open standard public way of describing all different types of credentials and skills and pathways and quality assurance and a lot of other stuff, including jobs and job skills. And the other technology we provide is a registry where anyone who offers credentials can put data about their credentials and skills in this common data structure so that it all works together.
And I love that your newsletter, if people want to sign up for it, is called Transparency. And
Well,
is it fair to kind of say, one of the ways when I talk about it is it's helping us really share whether it's with prospective learners, current learners, maybe even lenders, employers, what a given credential is credentialing.
that's right. And so when you think of, should I just dive into a concrete example? Would that be useful?
Please, that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. So say you offer a cybersecurity certificate. There are a lot of them out there, right? And they're offered by universities and community colleges, and they're offered by training providers, and they're offered by businesses and corporations. Well, how do you tell them apart? Well, we provide a data structure for actually describing them in a way that explains what skills they include. Is it based on courses? How are those courses assessed? How are they aligned to industry standards? And you say, well, okay, well, we have a marketing catalog. Um, Not the same thing, because marketing catalogs are not using a common data structure that lets us actually compare apples to apples.
Yeah, and when you say Deb common data structure, we had Rob Coyle from One Ed Tech on earlier this season describing what CLR, Comprehensive Learner Record, and helping people realize that there's all kinds of LERs and that CLR is a very specific kind, that it is a data structure, it is a data standard. We've heard how
Mhm.
we've got all kinds of digital badges, open badges, 1.0, 2.0, 3.0 is a specific data standard, and that's similar to you have all kinds of video cassettes. You have video, VHS. You have Betamax. These are data standards. Is CTDL this you know d description language that you talk about, and is it kind of in the same way a standardized format? Is that a helpful way for people to think about things?
Yes, it is. And it's a different kind of data structure from comprehensive learner records or open badges. Those are both data structures for packaging a credential to issue to an individual. Okay. So, um, let me share what I think is a fun, albeit a little geeky story about what you can do as CTDL when you put it inside a credential that you issue to an individual. So, um, just take open badges. I'm a huge advocate of open badges. I've been involved in the badging movement since the very beginning. So don't take any of this as negative about badges, but you can put anything or nothing inside a badge. It's just a container, right? So how do you put something that's valuable and meaningful inside a badge? Well, what we help people do is to put a CTID, which is a credential transparency identifier that's part of a CTDL, inside that badge that links out to data that's outside the badge. And you're like, technical, I don't care. Let me give you a comparison. So um, you want to get directions on a map. And so you put in your current location and your destination, and it's going to draw a great map on the screen for you. And you can take a link and you can send a link to your phone, right? Or you can send a link to a friend or whatever. But then you use that link, and what's on the other side comes to life because it becomes a map in real time that shows you not only how to get to where you're going, but this is a one-way street. This one has a traffic jam on it in real time. If you need a restaurant along the way, here's where you can find donuts. Like all of these things come to life in that map, and that's data from a lot of different sources coming together as linked data
Mm.
that combines to create that map that's both humanly readable. We know how the things in that map work. We don't have to know the technology, but it's also machine actionable. So that, for example, oh, wait, let me reroute you because there's a traffic jam up there. That's machine actionable data. Imagine being able to do the same thing with the credentials that you get. You want to make the credentials that you issue to people more valuable, put meaningful data inside. But what are you going to do? You can't just like pack lots and lots of data inside that credential and say it's that cybersecurity certificate. Uh-oh, that field is constantly changing. So how does that credential interact with other valuable information in real time? When you put this CTID inside that credential, it's sort of like getting a link to that real-time map. It's linking out to the linked data in the credential transparency description language so that you don't have to put it all inside the badge or whatever the digital credential is. You can link to it and it'll be like, okay, here's the learning outcomes that are inside this certificate. And by the way, they're mapped to the NICE national cybersecurity competencies that are necessary that are mapped to these jobs that are part of these career pathways. And so if I have these skills, I can get going on this pathway. Oh, wait, that one changed because that job changed. Let me think of a different career pathway. But it's all because you had a starting point to get into that linked data that then opened up all of those other opportunities for understanding where you are and understanding the value of the credential that you hold.
And I love these examples that you're giving because I think it just paints such a picture. We've been really on season two hearing a real theme with a lot of our conversations of what's next, right? So, a lot of the AACRAO audience who might be watching this are, really on the side of helping to create credentials and then, administer and issue credentials. And we're hearing a lot of people thinking about, well, what's the, that's part of the life cycle of the credential. What happens once the earner has it and what they can do with it? And I hear you saying that, I think to quote you here, you want to make them valuable, put data inside. And so, on our proposal forms, when we're creating these credentials, we're asking them for things like, what's the earning criteria? What are the learning objectives? Does this align with any external standards or competencies? And I also hear you saying it's, to be really valuable, it's not just that we're filling in random fields and packing like we just cleaned up by throwing everything into the closet. But actually, that if we have
That's a good
structured
analogy.
data, and that's where CTDL comes in, that
Right,
it, if
exactly.
we're that if there's structured data that we can point to, that it's not about like humans and what they're going to necessarily do with these credentials, but when you say machine actionable, what are the kinds of machines that might be consuming credentials and adding value because we're using data in machine readable formats or machine actionable formats.
Yeah. Well, what's next? I mean, here today are so many different kinds of AI tools. And when AI tools read unstructured data or semi-structured data, say it's reading your marketing on your website, right? That AI tool will interpret that and it'll make up some stuff that's correct and some stuff that's hallucinations, and it may or may not give a person an accurate representation of your cybersecurity certificate, right? But the structured data, first of all, gives a very clear set of connections that you have defined in terms of what that credential is. So you say, okay, well, this is a certificate and it's part of an associate's degree program. So when you earn this, you're already on a pathway to your associate's degree. And by the way, it includes this industry certification, which is not offered by the institution, but it prepares for it and then you can connect to it, right? These are defined connections. But then when AI gets those defined connections that are structured, linked, machine actionable data, the AI can do much more powerful and accurate things with it. So they can say, yes, not only is this, you're on a pathway to the associate's degree here, but that's also transferable to the four-year college, right? Or the AI tool can say, look, you have these skills that are the learning outcomes in this certificate. And today they map to these cybersecurity skills in the NICE framework. Tomorrow they map to a different set because the job's changed.
So I'm listening to you, we've been talking a lot about ecosystems, especially
Mhm.
this season. And in this space, people are hearing that word, over and over again. And, as you're talking there, I'm hearing, yeah, and shake your head or just tell me no if some of these don't make sense. That when we talk about the AI that's able to use these, that the touch points are going to be in student success. They're going to be in career services. They're going to be on the navigation side of before they are our learners when they're trying to figure out like advising, I guess, pre intake advising, I admissions, and then also outside of higher ed, that on uh, hiring, on trying to find where my credentials take me. So career coaching, for not just while I'm on campus, but for the rest of my life. What are we leaving out here? Because we're talking about touch points of, almost, alumni
Right.
association. Is this also going
Yeah,
to inform
keeping your
CRM and help
alumni
us tip
happy,
people up for
that's a good
money?
one, right? Bringing alumni back because they need lifelong learning. We're definitely talking to our AACRAO audience here, but you know what it all boils down to for me in terms of why I'm passionate about this work is empowering people with their own learning because it's going to change. And the way this higher ed institution or this employer training serves you today is going to be different tomorrow. I need to understand what I've learned. And that's where the human readable part of CTDL is really important too.
Yeah, well, and human impact, clearly. That,
Yeah.
this is all about humans, thanks to the technology. And Debbie, before we go, you led off telling us that Credential Engine is a nonprofit. Unlike, open badges, CLR that are containers for information, the credential engine, the credential registry are not competing with any of that. They are
Yeah,
supplying structured data that
that's
go
right.
into the containers.
Hmm.
And so for anybody who's thinking, okay, what would be, the competitors here, there might be some other um structured data formats that are also, complementary to CTDL, but there's not necessarily like where you are making a pitch to compete with something. You are really complementary to help people take what they're already doing and add value by making it way more transparent what
Absolutely.
credentials are credentialing. For people who are thinking, okay, well, what if it's not just micro credentials? Like I heard learning outcomes. I heard Deb mention associate's degrees and certificates. In our final minute, can you just sort of make sure that people are understanding what can they, if they are interested, add to the credential registry, and how might people who are kind of getting excited by this nerdy stuff get involved?
Yes. Thank you for that opportunity. Um, so publish the data about your credentials and learning outcomes and quality assurance and jobs and occupational data sets. Publish all of those things to CTDL. As there are more and more AI tools, I'm using the phrase feed the beast. Let's all get as much high quality data into structured linked data as we can so that AI tools will be enabled, so that people will be enabled. So if you are the provider of any type of credentials or skills, come work with us. There's no charge for creating an account in the registry. We offer a variety of methods for publishing your data to the registry, and all the registry is open. So you can also consume that data. And there are also easy tools for getting those CTIDs into your digital credentials. A number of vendors also support this functionality. So you don't have to be one of those bleeding edge pioneers to get involved in this work. We are happy to help you, and it's actually not that hard.
That is so cool. And if people want to find out more, credentialengine.org is the best place to get started. Deb Everhart, Chief Strategy Officer at Credential Engine, thank you so much for joining us on AACRAO's Credential Chats.
Thanks, Noah. It was fun.
Have a badge worthy week, everybody.